everybody, welcome back to the channel. And so, usually, if you've been a fan of the channel, then I do reviews, all sorts of different things, and interviews. But I rarely do video podcasts, and that's essentially what today is going to be, because it's going to be a free-form conversation with a friend of mine who is returning. I always offer people to come back, and it sometimes happens. But I'm very excited that this time it did. And today we're going to be talking about something very special that herself along with her partner has been planning for a while. And it looks like I'm going to be the first to talk about it. So I'm super excited. So today I bring back my friend Danielle Beckmann along with her partner Timothy Reese, the dynamic duo. Folks, how are you doing today?
We're so good.
Really
We're
good.
So happy to be hanging out and here again. And
I'm super
we feel
excited.
special.
Yeah.
No, it's truly an honor. Dan, we've been talking so much. I'm truly proud of the work. I gotta ask you a few film questions really quickly, but
Absolutely.
I'm super honored to be able to talk about the new project that's at hand. And if anybody's looking at the graphics novel Chronicles, which we're going to talk about in a second, a new tabletop web series, which speaks my DNA, folks. So of course I have to talk about it. So, but how's it been on the film side of things? Clearly your film has been cleaning up every film festival. Every time I look, it's at a new one. But how has it been so far?
It has been amazing. It's been really great. Yeah, we have 6 festivals coming up in the next month. So, and one of them is Austin, which is another Academy Award qualifying festival, which is so fun. I'm actually going there. I'm going to go in person. And then another one of the fests is the Newport Beach Film Festival. We'll be there, which is kind of in our backyard. I grew up in South Orange County. So it's really exciting to get to screen there and have it be just a drive away instead of a flight. But yeah, we're really, really excited. There will be some really more exciting Liza Anonymous news coming out soon. And then other than that, with Brooklyn Quarter, the 2 of us are producing a couple other short films. We just got off of a meeting today. So that stuff will be announced soon. But let's just say that we're producing them all and I'm starring in them all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's the Danielle Beckmann show, everyone. Sorry.
It's like unintentionally busy. We didn't plan to be as busy as we are.
And then we are. And then, of course, our new show, Novel Chronicles, which we'll talk about too. But yeah, so we're really excited that Brooklyn Quarter is branching out, because we started off as just doing live stream tabletop Dungeons and Dragons shows. And now we have these critically acclaimed films coming out and all these irons in the fire. And it's really exciting. So
look at you reading my notes over there.
Oh, yes. Let me see. Oh, he wrote something really nice about me. I'll say that later.
I'm going to come back to that in a second, but there's one thing I seen you slightly didn't peek on my note sheet, and that's about the film Sam and Kiki.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be up your alley. You like horror, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So Sam and Kiki, the writer didn't officially give me the log line, but I made it up on my own. And the log line is 2 best friends trying to get to their Airbnb. That's the premise. And as you can imagine, a lot of things go wrong. But it's written by Mark Manson. He wrote and directed it, and he's actually been a longtime police officer. And it is based on a true story he encountered. So yeah, he wanted to put pen to paper, and the 2 women it was based on visited us on set, actually. Shout out to our COVID compliance officer, Ari. These people came on set. She's like, I need your vaccination. I need your thing. It was great. It was really great because it was filmed. It was filmed in July, last week of July. And so the beautiful thing about that, and hey, to anyone out there listening, I hope this is encouraging to you, but the beautiful thing about that is that the director of photography, Rashad Frett, he saw me in Tribeca. Our films were actually back to back in the Tribeca Anonymous lineup. And
Tribeca Anonymous.
Tribeca Anonymous.
Yeah. the short film fest lineup.
Have you heard of Tribeca Anonymous? Wow. Our films were back to back in the Tribeca lineup. And he apparently, after seeing my character, you know, she has all these different personas in the film, Liza Anonymous, he saw one of those personas and thought, ooh, I think Danielle could end up playing this part. And so he called Mark Manson, the director, and said, I have your Sam, I have your girl. And funnily enough, I knew the casting director. So I still ended up going through the audition process. But halfway through, they were sort of like, we need to see Danielle more. We need to call her back. Can we just have live Zoom calls with her and see how this works out? And they ended up flying me out. I was the only LA actor. They had all East Coast based actors except for me. And I think it's going to be a really interesting jaunt of a film. I think it's going to be really funny, heartfelt, and terrifying. Oh, so yeah, there's a part there's a scene that I was watching playback from, and I was a little freaked out. Oh. So I'm pretty excited. And another amazing filmmaker, Lynn Q, she is editing it, and she was also involved in our Tribeca experience too. So it's kind of like we're keeping it in the Tribeca family.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love it. That's
so I think you're really gonna like it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yes, today news broke that Novel Chronicles has its release date, the first day being November 9th, Tuesday. Folks can catch that first episode on the YouTube channel, which I will link in the description below. Brooklyn Quarters. So I have to ask, you touched on it a little bit, but for the sake of the viewers here and listeners, I want to make sure that they get the information they need. What is Brooklyn Quarters, and what's its identity? Why? Because if they know you, then they know for the two of you all from producing film, and then if they've been following that, then they've seen like the nerdy stuff that's going on. But what's the branding that's encompassing all of this now? What's the identity here?
Yeah, so the identity for Brooklyn Quarter was really born out of having a bunch of creative friends and not having an outlet for them, and wanting to put together some kind of, it really just started off as a board game night. Yeah. We wanted a way, we had all these creative friends that were starting to drift apart because life gets complicated. We were in New York, we were living in Brooklyn, and we wanted some kind of thing that would keep people showing up and stay in that friend group, stay connected. And so we started doing board game nights. It was Dungeons and Dragons. None of us had ever played before. And out of that, having so much fun that first session, and then going, oh, I want to put this on the internet, then got mixed in with, oh, we should make other things like comedy shorts, to then sprawling into, oh, now it's a short film, to, now it's, we did 130 episodes live of between our two main shows, Carol Guardians and Maven Brave.
That was back in Brooklyn.
Back in Brooklyn on Twitch. And so its identity is we're really, we are a community of filmmakers and creatives, but we wanted to be really, the way I think about it is exclusively inclusive.
Yeah, we love to say that because it's like, you're welcome. Come in. What's your talent? Come bring it to the table.
We didn't want anyone to feel like they had to match some kind of model to show up for what we're doing. And we really wanted to make a really fun space for people that have just creative ideas they want to get out, want to create a channel for it.
Yeah, and it's really fun to see how Brooklyn Quarter has morphed into an actual, I would say, like collective of creators, because with Novel Chronicles, we have a couple friends who are architects and artists, and they live in New York City, and they're doing some concept art for different cities and geographical locations that exist within the Novel Chronicles storyline, and in the world of Ben-Tir, which Timothy has created. And so it's really neat to see everyone like flex their talents. We have a composer who's co-writing with Timothy some original music, and I'm just really excited.
Yeah, my brother's a 3D animator, and he's working on animatics for the show, and he's also doing character portraits. And it's been I reached out for the logo. I reached out to this concept artist who is in Europe that I just love her work that I saw that she was doing for a 3D printing design company that does miniature terrain. So it's really
we found her on Instagram.
You found her on Instagram. So this is really, it's been really funny with Novel Chronicles itself, because the whole, when you have like that imposter syndrome, like you start something and then you get a fan base or you have people that like it, and then you keep waiting for someone to go like, hey, you're not doing this right. Yeah. This is, I would say that like with Liza Anonymous, it was really that first big indication that, oh, like this is being done right. Like with how Danielle spearheaded that and really just like birthed this amazing short film. And now with Novel Chronicles, for me, it feels like it's actually, because of the amount of collaborators we have who believe in the project, it's that constant reminder of like, oh yeah, people really like this. Like we have Patreon subscribers.
Patreon.
So that's like, it's really fun to cross that threshold and go, oh, we're making stuff that people genuinely enjoy. They're genuinely supporting and they want to be involved in it. And I just, So it's a fun community. I guess that's the tagline.
And you're welcome anytime.
Yeah. You want to be in it? You can be in it.
Come to our Discord
and you'll be a part of it.
We post fun stuff.
If we didn't have a show to conduct here right now, I could text like a billion people and be like, yo, did you hear about this? They're like, I don't care, I'm in it. The nerd community, shall I say, two things that really stinks out to me from the comments that you made is that during the pandemic, people got creative. People were like, look, we're gonna figure out a way to keep the community going. And when you're talking about tabletop gamers, things going remotely now, people doing it through doing it through different things like Twitch and doing it through Discord.
Discord and Roll20 and
So the demand is absolutely there, and it's cool because this definitely seems like an effort that you all got your pedal to the metal here, and it's just a start. So I gotta talk about it now, and more in particular now, Novel Chronicles. Let's go through the beginning. Where did the idea come from that launched overall this being the name? Like I know you spoke a little bit about it, but like when did you really sit back and say, okay, cool, there's a little bit of responsibility here instead of dreaming. I got to come up with some things, what did you start running for that?
It kind of came about accidentally. So we were playing, right? And I was totally new to D&D 4 years ago. Is it 5 years? I don't even know.
I don't even know.
It's like, it was a while ago.
The pandemic year doesn't count.
I was just about to say that pandemic year didn't count.
So I would say we started playing D&D, and as somebody who was totally new coming in, I had no idea what I was doing. I couldn't differentiate the rules from the settings. Mm-hmm. So like when you play D&D, you're in a different setting and you have rules, but I didn't know that. And so I'm getting confused by what a module is and all this stuff. And I'm just trying to keep up because I've got people coming over on Tuesday. And so I'm crash coursing in the game, trying to figure out how to even just run a night. And I realized that I can't use a set world because it's not going to work for my brain. It's just, I'm going to be constantly trying to find an answer that may not exist. And that whole, like, it's true, but not true, that whole canon, not canon thing. I'm one of those like lore nerds, right? I subscribe to Lord of the Rings lore channels and watch them obsessively.
Yes.
So just beautiful British accents explaining, all the different nuances of various backstory characters.
Is that Stephen Fry?
No, it's called. I've been listening to one called In Deep Geek. It's really good. But so I started writing my own world, and I sort of started like with a small circle. Like, they can only get so far in a day, and then I kept writing, and the story kept going. We kept doing more sessions. Then we started streaming it, and it kept going and kept stretching out. And then by the end of it, I had written, kind of accidentally, over 400 pages of like typed print for this world Bible. Accidentally. And I told someone they're like, how? And I was like, I guess keep the mania at bay. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I had accidentally written that much. And I realized, I was like, okay, well, I can do one of two things with this. Is I can either treat this as just like a fun exercise and not take it seriously, or I can take what I've written and go, okay, this is actually a thing that I should steward. I should get this in a format where I can read it, because it was completely unreadable. Like,
Oh my God.
it was just paragraph after paragraph of mixed in with episode notes, mixed in with locations, mixed in with plot lines. And when I started going through it and started collating it and getting it into a thing that I could read, I realized I was like, okay, this is like I could make this a universe. Like, if we're doing a D&D show and suddenly I want to write a novel, I want them to be in the same universe. I want them to exist in the same canon. I want it to be like a continuous story. I want it to be in a way like the MCU, where you want it to all make sense together, and you want it to all mean something and matter and connect. And when that happened, I realized I was like, oh, I need a name that encompasses what this is. And for me, it's another thing that was really important about the world for me is there's a lot of fantasy settings. It's really with fantasy that like to celebrate that things were once really great and now they're on the decline. And it makes really good meat for a story.
Right, because the protagonist has to save.
Yeah, they have to save the world. Or they have to, or they're already under a burden. It's preloading in a lot of ways the story, because you're going like, hey, things actually are really awful right now for the protagonist. They can only get better. Right. And then you read Game of Thrones and you go, actually, that's not true at all. It can only get worse. But it's that kind of way of going like, But
you didn't do that.
I didn't do that. So with Ben-Tir, my world, it is really a world that's on the up and up. It's getting better. And the year that we're beginning with, even though there's kind of, really serious, awful things happening in the world, of course there is, but things are pretty good in Ben-Tir, and it seems like they're slightly better than they were the year before. Maybe not universally, but for the most part. And so it's also this idea of being novel. So it's the chronicle of it all being connected, but also the novelty of something being new. This year is new in that it feels like things are improving mainly for everyone in the world. And I think that really puts a different, let's keep it that way. So until players get involved in a D&D story, but it's that way of going like, looking at the world as kind of a different bend. It's not as threatening, as instantaneously threatening as maybe most fantasy is.
Yeah.
And having said that, I love that. Having said that too, I want to say about Timothy, because he won't say this about himself, but the world of Ben-Tir and the way that we have set up our show in the framework of the storytelling that we're doing is, to me, it's not on the nose. It's not like cliche. It's not overdone. It's, to me, I'm constantly surprised by, as a player in the show, what is happening next, where I'm going, what sort of city or town I'm stumbling upon, or like, it's really unique, I think. So I'd buy the book. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for sale yet.
I mean, there's no book.
Not even remotely.
But but truly. And I think I have good taste. So, you're welcome.
Wait, what's happening here?
I'm being praised.
I'm being bashful. But I truly do have to say that I'm really excited to be in this storytelling show, and we cast 3 other performers with us, and they're all. You go read in the notes again.
Yeah. Yes, Danielle. I would love to talk about your cast members.
They're amazing.
You did announce them today. So as you said, Timothy, you are the game master. Then you announced 4 other people, well, one being next to you right now. But could you give us that? Could you announce them properly? And could you talk about their background experience and what their potential contribution is going to be going forward without spoiling anything?
Yeah, you want to go with this?
Yeah. Let's riff. So Timothy Reese, game master, voice actor, and creator of the world.
Nice.
Danielle Beckmann, you already know me. Just kidding. I don't know. Actor, producer, filmmaker, comedy, drama, everything. My character has a very quirky voice, I will say. I'm not going to give anything away, but I'm pretty excited.
Better. It better
also,
had. That was going to be my next question.
Very, very quirky. Also, I have to say, we're not cursing on the show, and my character with Timothy created a stand-in curse word, we'll just say, and we're making up our own curse words on the show so that we kids can watch and we don't say bad things.
Yeah,
nice.
But I would say my character uses it the most. She's
probably. I mean, the fact that you had originated the word would probably indicate. Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
And then I'm really excited that we have actress Victoria Rani on the show. I met her through an acting program back in January in Los Angeles through Zoom, and we stayed in touch, and she began playing D&D over quarantine, and then she created her own company called Inner Arcana Quest, where she does tarot readings mixed with role play and rolling dice and all this kind of stuff. So she says that she's at the intersection of nerd culture and mindfulness.
Nice.
And she's just a really versatile actress, and her character, let's just say there's a height disparity between our two characters that's about 6 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. The artist lineup is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be like boop, boop.
Yeah.
So yeah, Victoria's awesome. And do you want to say anything about Victoria?
Yeah, it's well, one of the things I wanted to, let's go through everyone and I'll talk about why we put
them together. Yeah. So then we've got Bill Crowe, who is in college still.
Yeah. Bill's great.
He is a youngin' and he has so much passion and fervor.
Oh,
he's
a wise soul.
He's played D&D longer than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
like it's really fun with Bill because Bill is when you meet Bill is young, but it feels like you're meeting someone who is like well into maturity.
Yes.
He's a very wise. Yeah.
Some reason in that dimension of college, like you just got more time to do the things that you don't get to do when you're an adult. So like, it's absolutely a great pickup here. It sounds.
It's true. Yeah. It's really true. And it's really nice to have his perspective on the show. And he's a voice actor and he loves fantasy worlds, and one of his debut things was acting on our friend Shane Salk's audio drama called Car Serum.
Yeah.
And that actually just won an award. Hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I got to know Bill, and then we brought him on the show, and he's my table mate. So we sit next to each other on the show.
Yeah.
Pretty excited. And then finally we have Mark David Christensen. We call him MDC.
Nice.
He is an improv funny comedic actor.
Yeah, frighteningly funny.
Yes, frighteningly funny.
It really takes you off guard. He's very funny.
Yeah, a couple his bio on Brooklyn Quarter links to a very frighteningly funny video, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a character actor, and he says that he's never short of energy, and I think he likes to say that because he's playing a shorter character, and he is never short of energy.
No.
We met him through a filmmaking referral friend. So it kind of all just came together, and we had a good amount of actors audition, and it just sort of all fit really nicely.
It was like watching a puzzle sort of descend out of the sky and lock together.
Oh, thank God.
It wasn't it felt very natural how it all kind of everyone kind of just.
We had so many talented people though.
Yeah.
But it was just, it's like filling out a cast. It's like anything.
Yeah.
What were you going to say though?
I was going to say is that this was when we first started. So this was a thing about, right. When have you played D&D a lot?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you typically play with your friends. That's how it goes. And first of all, that is outrageously fun. And I love playing with people and it not being in front of a camera and it not being canon and it not being, it's
Timothy taking 10,000 notes.
It's just, I love this. I love the lightheartedness of it and just that wonderful way of like having community with people. Mm-hmm. But whenever you're doing a show, when we first started, it was that idea of, if you just have a bunch of friends together on camera, you get that alchemy that works.
Yeah.
But that's doesn't quite translate to film.
Because if some of them aren't actors, or if some of them,
it's how it reads,
like it's just,
So you may be having tons of fun, but it's not necessarily something that the audience can hook into and engage with.
Right,
and
right.
When it came to this, I felt like we were really taking the evolution of learning from that, of going like the real 130 episodes, we get it. and so with this, we really wanted to look at this and go, okay, instead of thinking about, okay, who are the best actors that audition, or who are just the most outrageously talented that audition,
even though they all
really are, right? But going into it, the strategy was, I want to put together a D&D party of real life people. And how would I assemble a party? Because you can't have like 4 fighters.
Yeah.
Right? In your first big bad, everyone commits at melee and then you're all dead. And so I was like, okay, instead, what if it was really balanced? So what if you go, okay, you need someone who is very grounded in, this is aside from acting. I'm not even talking about acting here. I'm talking about personal interest.
Because it's a given that they're all talented.
It's a given they're all talented. So you've got, okay, you need someone who is a great character actor. This one. You need someone who is deeply experienced in D&D, because it can't just be me trying to figure out the story and everything in the mechanics and helping with all that all at once. And you have Bill. And I was like, okay, you need someone who is extremely fast with improv, because it's going to keep everyone on their toes. That's going to be MDC. And I was like, okay, and I need someone who's going to be really passionate about the lore. And that's Victoria.
Victoria dives right in.
Right off a cliff.
It's awesome.
And so because of that,
she just eats up all of the things that have come outside of your brain.
Really, chatting with Victoria about it has been super gratifying, because it's like watching a live interaction. It's like watching my brain fall out on a page and then watching someone else's brain pick it up. It was really gratifying seeing the first time we all got together and seeing all of their strengths really playing together, besides the acting, which is going to be great. But it was like, okay, this is actually a method. You put together a party.
Yeah, nice. That's great. Nice. Yeah. And we have a couple more, we have one more rehearsal and then we're starting to shoot.
Yep.
So.
All right. Yeah. So couple of questions here. What's sort of the response you're looking from with the fans? And because of the nature of this, how can fans engage and interact in a beneficial way, shall I say?
Right. Yeah. So I think that for one thing, I love the idea. One of the things we wanted to do setting out with creating our Discord was really just creating a place for fans to come together to talk about the show and also really enjoy all that, but also really just connect. We're already hosting playing things like Valheim together on our Discord server and all that. But another thing is I just really want to. So our show's not going to be live, but it's going to be premiered. And one of the reasons why is that I really want to interact with the fans while they're watching.
Yep.
And I want to have this back and forth that we're able to talk together, because we loved having that whenever we were live. But the issue with that is you can't focus down the
when you're an actor and then you're like, oh, someone's saying something funny on Twitch.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Because we're not a big production. There's the 5 of us that are going to be on camera. We have a producer that's going to be in the room, monitoring everything, making sure it's all going. That's kind of it. And so when it comes to having a staff that are able to really engage with a live audience as it's happening, we just don't have that.
Yeah.
So I would love to grow it enough to the point where we actually were able to have a full spectrum thing where we're creating tons of shows that are centered around the world, where we're able to talk about the episodes, or be able to create unique content that's coming around it. So really, it's just I would love to just meet people. I want to meet people. I would love for them to connect with us, to subscribe to us on YouTube, and really just build that.
Yeah. And I think too, a way that people can interact is just by, I think the way people have been showing up for us with their different talents and things, and we do pay them.
Oh yeah, we have artists. We pay the artists. But it was a thing. Yeah, we had friends that were like, oh, we were meeting with them in New York, and they were like, oh, they were talking about the show. They're like, I really love hearing about, because they were asking about the world. And I started telling them that, like, we're in Central Park at a little party, and they were like, oh, this world sounds awesome. Do you have any pictures of it? And I was like, no. Do you want to draw some? And they were like,
pictures.
And they were like, yeah. So they were basically doing that. They're like, they drew those pictures now, and I really want to ask them to do more. But
but I think with interacting with the fans, the idea goes like, hey, come be on Discord with us, come chat with us. If you like what we're doing, support us on Patreon. But also, like, we want to know how we can continually cross promote and share ideas and, you know, hear what you like about the story. And
we really want Brooklyn Quarter itself to be more than just like a show vehicle, and really something to where people feel like they can be involved in something that they can take a real like safe identity from. They can go like, hey, I'm involved in Brooklyn Quarter, and that means great things. And you go like, okay,
we do eventually want to have a sound stage. And we do want to have a bar attached to the sound stage. Those are our big dreams. That is the name of one of the famous bars in the world. And so people could come into the Broken Dirk and get a drink and then maybe watch the show or whatever. Like, that's
big dream is like be able to support a sound stage, have creators that are a part, like they actually have staff who are able to like be supported by this, and then also have a great spot for fans to come to, or people who just want to go to a cool medieval themed bar and actually just hang out with their friends. And so that's we're calling it the 10-year. Hopefully it's sooner than that, but that's the big dream.
Right now, my area, Maryland Renaissance Festival is taking place, as you know, and people are going each and every weekend. There's a high demand for that, just to say, you know, and it's truly a big encompass of everything you're saying, and ultimately the ones who love that era of time, and ones who just like, hey, I can go out and drink with some of my other nerdy friends regardless. So.
Exactly.
Like all the board games are waterproofed, you know. You know.
It'd be cool to incorporate that too. It's like you come and you can play games.
So another question I have, and Dennis' suggestion.
Yes.
What's the planned release here? You do have your first episode announced. Are you going weekly, monthly? Are you doing seasons? What's the idea here?
Going weekly and seasons. So we used to do week to week to week to week to week. And it's just not tenable for us. Like, I think that if we had the kind of support that would allow us to be able to make it possible for everyone to get here every single week and to be able to lock out time from other jobs and stuff.
Oh yeah, but everyone's either a working actor or in school or
working other jobs. And so that's one of the things of going like, we can't sustain it going weekly right now. But we're going to be releasing this year. It's going to be 6 episodes, and they're going to be starting on November 9th. They're going to be every Tuesday at 8:00 Eastern, 5:00 Pacific. And that'll go through this year. And then next year is when we'll pick up with what'll be, I guess, season 2, chapter 2, but it'll be episode 7 we'll pick up next year.
Yeah.
And that's how we're.
And so it'll go right up to the holidays. So I think like December 14th or somewhere in the middle of December will be our last one. And then
the timing was literally perfect with schedules to do that. Like, it was just kind of a miracle that it all worked out.
Everyone checks out during the holidays anyways.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So to the point of engagement, and I understand because time is limited, and obviously creating more content just is another responsibility. Have you thought about having a post show or some sort of just live stream of sitting back and engaging the fans? Because I think with this subject matter, much like you said, everybody wants to be involved, but then you're adding that extra element of not only do you want to be involved in the show, but you may also want to be involved in just Brooklyn Quarter and all. So you're thinking like, well, what could I do, you know, to be part of what the successor or the next chapter or what's after this, you know? And you're just going to have the ones who are just invested into the story at all. But ultimately, whatever it may be, you can field it by maybe sort of a Q&A or something, or like I said, a post show.
I love that. Yeah, I would love that, especially if we could. We actually, one of the things that we talked to our producer about, Maggie Hood, is she'd be like because she's going to be the one listening for every episode. We realized that she would actually be a perfect host because she's going to be in like sitting in the booth basically the whole session for every session. And I was like, oh man, what if we did like a live show? But you saying this is actually a big encouragement because it was kind of one of those things that was floating around in my brain. But I would love to do that as a way to connect with people live, because then they could actually sit in there, they could type in questions live, and you could have real interaction. It's all happening dynamically.
And I mean, will we do that on YouTube or
probably
Twitch?
YouTube or probably YouTube? Yeah.
We did the Twitch thing. We're shifting. We did Mixer.
We did Mixer for a while.
That was
rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah, it was funny because it was like from a. It was so much. In some aspects, it was super simple, and then it just went away.
Very. Yeah.
Yeah, like too simple, maybe. No.
Yeah.
But yes, so we're going YouTube, but I think that's a brilliant idea.
That's really good.
And even it doesn't have to be long. And Maggie, if she was hosting it, she could start it off and be like, "Did you mean to do 30 points of damage to your friend? Could Danielle speak on that?"
You can also have those wonderful questions of like, what if they had not done this?
Yeah. Or what if you had not rolled that? Like, what would you have done?
Yeah, that would actually I would love that. Yeah. I would really love to do that.
Yeah, I mean, instantly when I say it, like talking, what's it called? Talking Dead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You watch the episode and then afterwards, Chris puts on the show and fans get to pretty much engaged in the sense of like your thoughts and reactions to it, but also ask those difficult questions. What if this person would have did that? And I think, especially when you're talking about any type of board game or anything similar to D&D, there are going to be those challenging questions that people will say like this versus this. And then ultimately, my second thing, as we're entering the final quarter of the year, this is typically when the last cons are in play. New York Comic Con is coming up very, very soon, which is, as we like to say, is a breeding ground for nerds.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Does that sound intriguing to think about? Actually being in the jungle with other nerds to rather one do a panel or have a booth or so on to then also be able to engage with other fans.
Yeah, I think if we could figure out a way to do it, I would love to go out and meet people. Like we originally, when we were first doing the show, we talked about that and we couldn't work out because we were doing weekly, right? Yeah. We couldn't do it, because doing one of these shows, you spend so much time working on it. And like, Lord. And so we wanted to do conventions, and we reached out to a couple and they wanted us to come and do panels.
That was in upstate New York.
Yeah. We reached out to them. And they were like, and it was funny because we said yes to one thing. They're like, hey, we do a show. Could we come visit? And they were like, could you do a panel? And we were like, oh yeah, we could do a panel. And they were like, could you run a game? And we were like, oh yeah, we could also run a game. And they were like, could you run games all weekend? Could you do 3 panels? And I was like, no.
Why did we end up not going to
because
that?
It was a conflict
was
with.
Was it like a wedding?
It was like a wedding or a thing. We couldn't go. It's just the weekend.
It was an upstate New York con. I don't even remember.
Yeah. Plus, I think it would have been we couldn't. I think we couldn't afford to go. We couldn't afford to go. I don't think.
Well, that was before I was famous.
No, but like that was the thing is like I think one of the big things about coming out to LA is that we're able to do the show for a lot cheaper. And because we were renting the space, everything's just so expensive in New York. And here we were able to get a space that was much more economical. And because of that, I think it's really going to open up the opportunity for us to go to conventions, for us to, we were able to do better. I mean, it's just going to look better. The microphones are better. The cameras are way better. Everything is just so much better with our new show. And so,
I'm really excited how it's going to look. It's not going to be like the classic 4-panel look. Yeah. It's going to be
cut from camera to camera to camera.
And edited, which is exciting. Yeah. But I think that with the convention thing,
if you have any suggestions on conventions
I'm sure
to get started with, Yeah.
Especially on the West Coast, like you're in the home of a plethora of them. So definitely way
I
better.
would love to go. Yeah. I've got this foam core chainmail stuff that I backed on Kickstarter a while back. I can finally make some cosplay.
God, yeah, I forgot.
That was that weird package that just arrived. So yeah, but I backed it on. I heard about it from Adam Savage Untested, and I bought it.
Oh yeah.
And then it was right when the pandemic hit. I got everything, and I wasn't able to make my armor. And so I want to wear something cool at a convention.
That's what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, I got 2 sets.
I'm on a journey here. I think that overall it would be great to go to a convention. So, but that's not on our plate this year.
Yeah.
I just know, again, from my experience and current lifestyle, when it comes down to anything of this sort, especially tabletop games, and then you're saying it's a web series, you know, it's the demand of folks wanting to know, like, how can I get involved, and how can I know more? And then obviously, the biggest thing about this community is community, and everybody wants to be able to meet people and, you know, and all that sorts of stuff. And that's why cons are never going to die. Even the pandemic couldn't stop it. So
no, absolutely not. Yeah.
So very exciting for this. So again, the first episode is going to be premiering on YouTube November 9th. The Brooklyn Quarters YouTube channel, which again will be linked below. Is there any other expectations that we could be looking forward to with this? Is there anything else I feel like that I may not have covered that should be?
Well, one big thing is that the world's really different from a normal setting. There are no gods. There's no heaven. There's no hell. There's no demons or devils.
So essentially just no religion.
No religion.
Gotcha.
And which really changes the way clerics work.
Yeah.
So essentially, and it's a whole different way of looking at the way that it in a lot of ways it brings the story smaller, because you're never going to have that Deus Ex Machina experience.
Yeah.
But the way that the religion works for clerics, or the idea of what they would be observing in, we call them confinements instead of temples, is really they're like observatories. And so they're looking out at these astronomical entities, which is where they derive power. And so it's a whole different shift of the way that relationship works between, you know, wizards, clerics, and the way magic interacts with the world. And also we have 9 in Ben-Tir, there's 9 playable species that a character can be. Mm-hmm. You have your humans, elves, and dwarves, but then the other 6 are not in the player's handbook, and they're not in any other world. They're unique to Ben-Tir. And so that's a big change to the way that dynamic works, which is that they're all different and unique in the way that they kind of interact with their environment. It's a lot about how it's not so much kind of shades of humanity, and it's more how these different species kind of would have evolved to where they are biologically. So it's a lot about their kind of where they sit in an ecosystem, but you can talk to them. They have economies, they have social, you know, interactions, all that. And so I'm really excited about seeing all that interplay, because it's created a dynamic where it's much less about what somebody is and more about where you're from.
Nice.
Which I think is an easier way to enter a story in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Than having to really backlog a lot of exposition to even understand a perspective.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna say the species I am.
Yeah.
I'm playing a squick.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When besides that, will there be any other extra additional content previews or anything that comes out before?
Yeah. So we're having there's artwork that's currently being drawn for each of the characters, so that people know what they look like, because that's a big deal. So it's kind of hard to visualize something, especially like when you have 6 unique species. It's you need something to have as like where do I start?
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to just say the word. We also, I'm super excited about the the cities. I just got the drawings over the weekend, and they are immaculate. And we'll be teasing those on our Instagram in the coming weeks,
and on our website on brooklynquarter.com. Well, actually, probably novelchronicles.com.
Yeah, you can go to novelchronicles.com and it'll redirect you to the page.
Yeah, and we'll probably be having a whole separate page where people can kind of start to learn about the world itself, because we have a giant map and we have all these things, and I'm really excited to just sort of let people in on this.
It's a secret, but it doesn't have to be.
We used to be really secretive about things, and now we're like, maybe we'll share.
Yeah. That is awesome. I'm super excited. And even before the launch of the first episode, congratulations. I know a lot of people are going to take to this, especially in the current climates of the world. Us nerds are looking for our next fix. So this is right on time, and I'm very excited to check it out. So, Danielle, Timothy, any other comments before we wrap up for today?
This has been wonderful.
Yeah, this has been great. Every time I come on this show, I leave with a big smile. So thank you.
If anybody's watching this wondering, hey, like, would I enjoy being on this show? The answer is yes, you would.
So be on it.
So be on the show.
I appreciate it. And, it was once one seat for you, Danielle. Now it's 2 seats. Now, Timothy, you have a seat as well. Anytime, anything I ever can do. I look forward to you all's, obviously, the show launching, but the interviews with the Game of Nerds and Dragon Talk, which is coming up as well, too. And folks, anybody's listening, the links for the websites are below. Find ways to support. There's a Patreon available here. Although it sounds like things are in gear, folks still need support going forward. We would like to see numerous seasons of this. I truly believe in them and their talents, and this is how you can help. And also, too, by watching on YouTube. YouTube, you can also donate on there as well, too. But sharing with others, because views, likes, and subscriptions help. So share the word. This is going to be awesome. And as we get our next new fix here, and I'm looking forward to it. Yes, being a nerd is an addiction, folks. It's a slippery whatever you think it is. But again, thank you so much for stopping by. And we're about a month away. I know we're a little bit early on our interview because I got the exclusive stuff, folks. But we're about a month away from a very special day. So look forward for that. Oh, go for it.
There's a preview. I just realized there's a little secret here. Is that one of our background character, one of our NPCs is the preview right there.
It's a puppet.
It's going to be a puppet. Yeah,
it is an Easter egg. Like that. Oh, yeah. By the way, that's the stinger here. I wrote a credit. I wrote a credit a little bit, and I was like, oh, by the way, folks, here we go.
Yeah,
great. I love it.
But yes, thank you so much for tuning in, folks, and stay tuned for more information and news coming from them too very soon.